live. So let's go ahead and kick things off officially. So this morning we've got a really interesting session that we are running in collaboration with Oracle. We know that the finance profession as a whole has just had incredible challenges over the past few years, and most certainly during the COVID pandemic. So I'm really excited this morning to be sharing with you a webinar on tackling the 4 big moves that finance needs to make right now. And we'll also be doing a bit of a masterclass. We'll be hearing some insights from Swami Natarajan, who's the Senior Director at Oracle. And then we'll also go into a bit of a practical case study. We'll be hearing from Saurabh Bhatnagar, who's the CIO and ICT Director at King's College and Hospital London and the UAE. So without further ado, Swami, I'm going to welcome you onto camera. There we go. Good morning and welcome.
Thank you, John. Good morning, everybody. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen.
And Saurabh, good morning to you as well. You're on mute, Saurabh. Let's check that your audio is okay there.
Okay. Good morning, everyone.
There we go. Perfect.
Sorry, my mic was off.
Great to have you here. Just before we do kick things off, I see several more people are typing in the chat. I noticed that it's going to panelists only. So remember to select the option that says panelists and attendees from the drop-down arrow below. And then everybody will be able to see your messages. So Swami, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to get your slides up. So give me a second while I do that. And then we can kick things off officially. All right, here we go. Go ahead and share my screen. And I'm going to jump off camera while you presenting, Swami, so that we don't distract the message. There we go. All yours, Swami.
Thank you, John. Thank you. Good morning, everybody. It's great to be with you. Today, we are going to talk about the big moves that is going to take the finance organization pivot forward. And these are the big moves that we are hearing from our customers and various organizations globally. So let's move to the next slide, please, John. Okay, so what are those big moves, right? So let's understand this, and then we go one by one. So the very first big move that we are hearing from our customers is embracing business model innovation. So the word business model disruption innovation is being used many times. I'm sure you're not hearing this for the first time. But here is a perspective in terms of, McKinsey did a survey of 200 organizations. About 90% of the executives talked about the post-COVID fallout is going to fundamentally change the way the business, over the next 5 years. So what is the change? And I'm sure you're hearing this all the time. What are the changes? The sales model change. There are going to be new product offerings. There's going to be influx of competitors, which you have not seen before. And there's a rapid change in customer expectations and customer behavior as well, right? So this is a fundamental thing we are hearing across industry segments, and we will talk about it a little more in detail. The second important thing that we are hearing is when there is a crisis, people convert that into an opportunity. So we see a lot of mergers and acquisitions happening in the marketplace and across industry segments. People call that as COVID positive, COVID neutral, COVID negative industry segments. But I see pretty much across all industry segments, the mergers and acquisition is happening, right? There are customers who are using this opportunity for supporting the business model innovation strategy by bringing new players, new markets. And we're going to hear one of this from Saurav later, how King's College Hospital London has started their operations in the UAE, and what are they doing in the front line of the industry. The third thing is about automation, right? So, and people use the word relentless automation. This is the time to automate, and focus on your core competencies, and focus on becoming a data-driven company with an automated, processing, especially on the finance world in terms of automated closing, timely, accurate information, and financial statement publishing, right? That's the third big move we are seeing. And the last one, but not least, which is extremely important, is creating a risk intelligent culture, right? And you would have heard about risk management, but the word risk intelligence culture is something we're hearing all the time now. So how do we ensure that we have a bolt-on security risk audit tools available to the finance professionals to eliminate not only the manual processes or manual processing, but also rule-based separation of duties and audit sampling. And then how do we enable the audit community to be providing the best for the finance organization? So these are pretty much the four big moves that we are seeing in the marketplace. Let me unpack each one by one. Can we move to the next slide, please, John? Right. So on the business model innovation, there are some great stories, and I'm sure some of you have followed some of these stories. Let me give you some example around Netflix, right? We all know Netflix, how they become, they disrupted their own industry and they digitized the entire content. But the story now we are hearing is how, sorry, can we go back, please? Yes. So how is Netflix converting to become an original content creator? Again, a major disruption in that marketplace, where 40% of their content is created by, the revenue is coming from their own original content, right? And then you look at Siemens. Siemens launched its Vision 2020 plan, which involved phasing out the traditional businesses and focusing on industrial manufacturing into a digital services company, right? Now, they are expecting a large portion of their revenue coming from digital factory initiatives, right? Again, another major innovation that we are seeing in the marketplace. And the next one is about Schneider Electric, which is using the tech platforms to move into Internet of Things and other focus areas from a digital transformation point of view, and how it is helping them from an IoT-enabled solutions to their customers. So these are some examples of the business model innovation we are hearing in the marketplace. And if we move to the next slide, I just want to unpack some of the best practices. John, can you move to the next slide, please? What are the best practices on the business model innovation big move that we're hearing? Now, rethinking what customer wants. I'm sure at this stage, everybody is thinking about what is the customer is looking for. Organizations are collecting feedback via social listening tools to listen to their customers' voice, right? There are companies who are services companies. We are productizing their services to be fixed instead of a time-based approach, where there are manufacturing companies which are turning out to be as a service offering. So the line is blurring between a manufacturing services organization, right? So you see some of the manufacturing companies, for example, a jet engine manufacturer is even going to the extent of putting software into their engines to continuously monitor this. So we see that they are also becoming a services-based organization. And then the second important thing we are hearing from our customers is about analyzing business model changes. So when you go into business model innovation, one of the things you need to understand the scenario properly. Is there tools available to do scenario planning or scenario modeling, as we call it as, right? And then which helps you to determine which investments are most likely to drive the business growth for you. There are tools available on business model changes which predominantly focusing on scenario planning and scenario modeling. Collaboration is extremely important, right? So we look at collaboration through the entire innovation cycles. There are processes that involves multiple stakeholders from design, from engineering, marketing, finance, HR, and other functions. So you need to have a very good collaboration cycle, which helps you to innovate more, right? So these are some of the examples on the business model innovation that we're hearing from our customers, and how could a cloud company like Oracle help you in those various topics. Now let's listen to one of our customers, is Broadcom, which has used the business model innovation tools and then going to a next level of growth. So John, can we move to the next slide, please, and take a look at the video? John, you need to enable the voice.
Largely a
Sorry, Swami, I just want to confirm, are you hearing the audio or is it not coming through?
Now I can hear you. Can you play again, please?
Yeah, sure. Let's start that from the beginning.
Broadcom designs, manufactures, and delivers products for the wireless and wired communication sector, covering stuff you see in smartphones to data centers. Before Broadcom acquired Rocket Communications, Broadcom was largely a company that designs and manufactures semiconductor components. This is a business the CEO intends to grow, so it needs to scale. Obviously, a manual way of handling this is not going to work. Rocket has a line of business that Broadcom didn't have in a big way, and that's talking about services. Services requires a different way of recognizing revenue in books. We chose Oracle Revenue Management Cloud because we needed to be compliant, scale, and we needed a system to be cost effective in the long run. After the Rocket acquisition, we acquired Computer Associates, which is largely 100% on software and services. So because of that, had we not implemented Oracle Revenue Management Cloud, then we wouldn't have the capability there to be able to support it. But when you come to dealing with a piece of equipment, you are looking at equipment with 400 over different components that goes into it, 6 sub-assembly levels. With a product like this, you are going to need a way to manage changes for its entire life cycle. We implemented the product life cycle management cloud. So far, it has met all the objectives that we wanted to meet on the implementation. Engineers need this kind of information in order to know when they make a change, what's the impact across the breadth of the products that they have. PLM system that we need to accommodate more for R&D engineers. But yet you want a system to enable the R&D to be able to do the job efficiently. The PLM process is much better. I have a solution that can scale, can handle products of complexities from high volume semiconductor chips to complex devices. With the Oracle solution in place, we are positioned to scale successfully for all the future acquisitions.
So, you get a context of how an enterprise application is panning out in the business model change from a product lifecycle management to revenue management for a company like Broadcom. So moving on, John, if you can move to the next slide, please. So that's the first big move that we are focusing on. We are hearing from our customers. So if we look at the second one, which is extremely important because this is relevant for every single organization, right? Automation has always been key, and enterprise applications are focusing on automation big time. But what is changing is artificial intelligence and machine learning. So in an automation scenario, especially in the finance organization, there is a tool called intelligent process automation. I'm sure you have heard about robotic process automation, which is rule-based. Now, companies are investing on intelligent process automation, which is beyond going the specific rules, but also bringing the machine learning capabilities, right? So essentially, it helps you to automate tasks in the entire accounting function, looking at the manual tasks. Some of the areas like account reconciliation, financial closing, is all getting automated using a tool called IPA. And that is bringing a significant amount of efficiency to the finance organization and helps the finance professional to focus on high value add activities and moving away from the mundane reconciliation processes. Accountants, like, I mean, I come from an accounting background. I'm sure accountants would love to move away from basic reconciliation activities to high value add activities. And especially during the pandemic, we see that this is really playing out very important because most of us are working remotely, right? And also extending the financial closing processes. There are companies which are able to close their books in time and able to produce their financial statements in time, and without getting into the errors and all the closing cycle related challenges that we go through. The third area that we are looking at is improvement in terms of streamlining and connecting, having a very simplified, standardized processes. There are customers who are reducing number of cost centers from thousands of cost centers to very minimal. They are relooking at their chart of accounts to see how best they can handle the new financial reporting using an ERP solution, right? The last one is very important. We always get to hear from customers that financial reporting should be self-service. Means we don't rely on IT professionals to help us to build a new report. Now we are talking about not only IT professionals, even finance professionals need not be dependent on, or should be anybody who wants to generate a report need not be depending on a finance team to produce the results. So we are moving into a self-service 24/7 access to financial information. So these are some of the areas where we see large organizations are taking advantage of automation covering the entire finance and other supportive functions. Moving to the next slide, John, please. So let's take a look at a video of an organization which went through automation, especially on the intelligent process automation side. John?
Okay, let's go again. There we are.
Argo is a global specialty insurance company. We sell both insurance and reinsurance products.
John, we're not able to hear the voice. Can you replay again, please?
Okay, let's double check. Can we just get some feedback in the chat? Was nobody able to hear the sound? I just want to see if this is an isolated challenge. If we could just get a couple of responses in the chat there. No sound coming from anyone.
Yeah, I think so.
All right.
I think so, John.
No problem.
It started with the sound and then the sound went away. So yeah.
Okay, let's try that again.
Argo is a global specialty insurance company. We sell both insurance and reinsurance products. We are located in various offices around the world in key insurance markets like the US, Bermuda, and the UK, Lloyd's of London. Argo is very forward-thinking in terms of technology and digital advancements. The transformation really started before digital. It started with the culture, right? And so what we wanted to do, again, was invest in our people, invest in those relationships, give them an opportunity to be successful. That led us down a path to technology as one of the solutions to strengthen that relationship, but not just with our employees, but with the business at large. Right? The more information we have, the better tools we have to serve our business partners, the better off we would be. That ultimately culminated in selecting the Oracle Cloud solution. I think our biggest challenge is we had a number of disaggregated, disparate systems. And so trying to pull information together to give a holistic view of our organization and how we were performing was somewhat of a challenge. So for us, it was really important to have a fully integrated accounting, reporting, planning package. We can access our information,
provide information to the decision makers, the business owners, and really drive the way the company moves forward was big for us. We started our finance transformation with the Oracle EPM cloud, but long-term, the solution is the full suite of ERP products. Our implementation, we're on budget and on time, and a big part of that is because of Euron. There's the one big benefit that I've seen so far is around transparency. Historically, we would have to go out and effectively make data calls to the different disparate systems and say, hey, can you provide information? And now with Oracle EPM Cloud in place, there's one-stop shop for this information. In terms of our expense ratio, when we look at that expense ratio in 2018 compared to 2017, our expense ratio declined over 250 basis points. We're a complex, large organization. So speed to market generally wins. And when you're speed to market with accurate information, you really win. Oracle Cloud provides that integrated solution.
Yes, so this is another exciting story about how automation is helping in streamlining the financial processes and help in financial closing. So moving on to next big move that we are heading in the marketplace, John, is on mergers and acquisition. So as I said, there are a lot of companies which are not losing this crisis to go waste, and they're looking at opportunities of ramping up new organizations and getting organizations on board to focus on the business model change that we focused on. We talked about earlier. So some of the examples, like Ecolab is something very exciting. You see, this company is now the world's leading supplier of chemistry, combining with hardware and software that helps them to have more efficient water management, basically, right? So, and then you look at Philips. Philips, we all know as a lighting company, and then they refocused on healthcare technology, and then they really transformed the healthcare technology industry with this focus. And then I'm sure you've heard about Intuit as another great success story on their acquisitions and how their online ecosystem is really helping to grow the company, right? So some of these examples in our own region as well. So if we move to the next slide, what's the key learning from an M&A activity, right? So first of all, the M&A process can be broken into pre-M&A, during the M&A process, and then the post-M&A process. So one of the things that we have heard from our customers is they use the strategic modeling in terms of identifying the right organization during the M&A process, which helps them to develop financial cash flow analysis, capital impacts for M&A activities, where do they find the cash from. All of this can be done using a strategic modeling tool, and we have seen some great successes in the region of customers who have used this. Now, the next important thing we're hearing from our customers is how do you establish, you really start with establishing business process owners, which is going to be, who are going to be the change management agents in an M&A process, right? So you have an enterprise-wide business process owners who really help in working with IT and business, and then bring in a right amount of focus for their business processes and the IT solutions. Also having an early visibility of financial data and reporting is extremely important, including setting up an enterprise-wide chart of accounts governance in an M&A organization, right? And then you look at centralizing enterprise-wide record-to-report process, something to ensure that we are very efficient in terms of recording and reporting financial processes, financial transactions, right? So if you look at Oracle went through a massive amount of acquisition as well. Now we've reduced our closing cycle to 10 days. So we are on a continuous process improvement, and we have really used some of the tools that we offer on the ERP cloud for this purpose, right? So, and then eventually you move into a one single ERP system model, which can offer a shared services based approach using a single ERP platform as well. And that's exactly what Oracle has done as well. So this is on the M&A. And then if you move on to the next slide, please, John. So let's look at this example of Western Digital on how they managed to have three major players in that industry segment, and how did they manage manage to do it, including how their ERP cloud really helped them to manage this. So can we take a look at the video, please, John?
We serve the everyday user who wants to just capture those special moments on camera, all the way through to the scientific discoveries. Western Digital designs, manufactures, and sells data storage solutions, bringing 3 Fortune 500 size companies together. We needed a next generation solution. We did an inventory and there were 2,000 plus applications across these 3 companies. We wanted a streamlined process. We wanted something end to end from the point you capture the data to the point you want to report out the data. Being able to leverage out of the box was another key factor for us. Once we chose Oracle ERP Cloud, then the Oracle suite made sense as well. Initially, when we developed our solution, it was an 8.5-hour refresh time for our data warehouse. And we were able to get that refresh time down to 20 minutes. So we have operational reporting that's real time. And then we have analytical reporting, which is available within 20 minutes, which is unheard of. No one can refresh their company data warehouse for a company this size in 20 minutes, and we can do it. We were able to cut down from 15,000 plus cost centers down to around 3,000 cost centers. So if we can use machine learning and AI to be able to take all that work out for people, then they can actually be financial analysts who do financial forecasts instead of data consolidators. We love innovation, we love new technology, we love the cloud, and it just felt natural for us to move forward with Oracle.
One more exciting story of how 3 large Fortune 500 companies got into as one organization of Western Digital is really using ERP cloud in their transformation. So moving on, John, the last big move that I would want to cover is around the setting up or creating a risk intelligence culture within the organization. So there are multiple areas that we need to be cognizant of when it comes to risk management. So number one is streamlining and integrating your audit compliance and having a sort of an enterprise risk management framework for business continuity and planning is one thing that many finance professionals are looking at, right? So shifting some of the finance and compliance resources to high value add activities is also part of this whole engagement. Now, next is using a native integrated risk management solution to engage with the key stakeholders and business process owners. We talked about the business process owners, but you also need to engage with the key stakeholders as well. And then automating the analysis of the application security from initial design to operation to certification to evolution is something which we are hearing from our customers. Pretty much moving from spreadsheet based analysis to a broader framework of analytic solution that helps you to do this, and then able to continuously monitor user activities. And then ensure that the fraud is detected on time, every time, using the artificial intelligence solutions, and then look at the right analytical information coming out of this. And then the last is to grant external auditors. We talked about providing them a self-service tool so that they can take the required data and then have a sort of a seamless discussion with the auditors and the controllers to ensure that we comply to all the requirements and certifications. So that's on the those are the 4 big the big moves that we are looking at from a marketplace, and some of the best practices which I think I should share with you. So John, if you move to the next slide, please. So what is common in all those big moves is that you need to have one unified, integrated solution, which is covering the whole enterprise, covering from finance to procurement to supply chain to customer experience to human resource management, and having those emerging technologies like artificial intelligence, machine learning, blockchain, and then you talk about enterprise digital assistants or digital advisors or chatbots as it is called, which is essentially what is helping those organizations we saw from this transformation. So having an end-to-end business process, ensure that you are able to focus on the new business models, able to get M&A very quickly done, and also able to help the workforce growth as well. So this is what Oracle is offering to our customers in the marketplace. If you move to the next slide, please, John. I would quickly want to wrap it up here is that you need one single solution covering the entire organization, various business functions, as you see, from talent management to workforce management, the complete financial suite. The financials is becoming more and more with revenue management and product lifecycle management areas, procurement, project portfolio management, enterprise performance management. We talked about intelligent process automation, so that comes here, risk management and supply chain management. So one suite of cloud application which is embedded with artificial intelligence and blockchain and IoT capabilities, and also gives you the complete security because you are talking about running it on the cloud. So that is what Oracle is offering today. And my next slide would be to wrap up and want all of you to explore what is available in the ERP cloud. Again, I just want to give you one perspective of how Oracle ERP cloud is being recognized as the leader in these three various segments. You see on the core financials, you see the planning and analytics, and you also see the complete product-centric approach in an ERP cloud. On all three parameters, Oracle is ranked as the leader by Gartner, right? So with this, John, if you move to the next slide, which is my last slide, is that I would want all of you to explore the cloud applications, ERP cloud applications, and join us in this community. We also have a customer connect offering where multiple customers can come into a single global community to share the ideas and then exchange ideas and then also explore the solutions. So with this, I would like to conclude and then hand it over back to John.
Perfect. Swami, thank you so much for sharing your insights with us there. I think just after having taken us through the 4 big moves, we can see why it's critical for any finance leader to start taking these things into consideration. One thing that I did want to ask you, and I see Ross has also posted a few questions in the chat specific to M&A, which we'll try and get around towards the end of our session. But what I wanted to ask you, Swami, is we've got the 4 big moves. We understand that obviously it's vital for any business to kind of innovate at the moment. We need to be concerned about risk or risk intelligence. So as a finance leader in an organization, where do we start with those 4 big moves? What would you prioritize?
So there is no one single priority, John. So there are companies who are using this opportunity to take an M&A route. So obviously you will go through an M&A. Every single organization is looking at automation because they want to go up the value chain, focus on high value add items, remove all these mundane reconciliations out of the picture. So you look at automation. So there are multiple areas where you can automate some of the simple solutions on financials or some of the most complex solutions. So automation is relevant for everybody and every single organization, every single industry segment. Risk is extremely important, and creating a risk intelligence culture within the organization, because we are, apart from the pandemic that's going on, there is a whole lot of risk that is surrounded today in an organization. So we need to focus on creating a risk intelligence culture. And then business model innovation is something which is explored all the time, especially during the current crisis, because you're always looking for opportunities to see how do I become more digitally focused from my customer and the back office processes. So there's no one single move that's applied to every single organization. All of them are relevant. Some of them are very relevant, like automation and risk intelligence, John.
Perfect, thanks. So, I mean, what I really liked is you gave us a very kind of comprehensive overview. And I guess this is the perfect time to invite Surab to the conversation. So as we kicked off the session initially, I mentioned that Surab Bhatnagar is the CIO of King's College Hospital, London and UAE. And Surab, just based on the conversation that we've had, and I know you've also chatted to Swami extensively, you've done quite a big implementation, and I thought maybe you could bring some of these elements which Swami has spoken to, you could bring them to life. But maybe to kick things off, if you could give us a little bit of information and background on yourself and King's College, please.
Sure, John. Thanks to invite me. What I should say, like King's College and Hospital London, we started in UAE in the year 2017, and we selected like Oracle as the back office solution. We have gone ahead with the selection of the entire product suite. Like we have the end-to-end HRMS, end-to-end your financials, your supply chain, your tell, your recruit and learn. So entire platform like for EPM, performance management, entire thing is there for us, and we selected the entire suite end to end.
Okay.
We also selected some other systems because we are a healthcare provider. So during this pandemic and even before this pandemic, we were we have selected some critical solutions like Cerner systems, which is our EMR. Omnicells, which are robotic way of like pharmacy management, pharmacy inpatient management, and we had like some revenue management solutions which are seamlessly integrated with Oracle. So we were in advanced stages of digitalization when we have faced the scenario of COVID.
Okay.
So that really added a lot of value because the way we were able to forecast our demand planning, we were able to ensure we are timely able to procure the items. Our financials was being integrated, so we were able to book the revenue. So we were able to better plan the cash management part of it. So these things has added a lot of value for us as an organization.
Sure. And just based on what you mentioned there, how far along into your finance transformation journey would you say you are?
Yeah, so in the finance transformation, what how we started is we started with selection of the definition of the your chart of account structure we defined, and rightfully as what the chart of account after getting defined, we were able to build the entire financial general ledger setup above it, which are meeting our requirements. So we are able to know which specialty in the hospital is been booking the what revenue. So improved reporting is there for us for handling our financials. We are able to know like which department, what expense we are been booking. So cost or revenue per se, we have the end-to-end picture, which allows us with a better reporting to plan our cash flow.
Okay.
So that is how it has added a lot of value.
Sure. And obviously Swami mentioned or touched on the 4 big moves, with one of them being around relentless automation. So with the significant Oracle stack that you're running, I'm interested a little bit more to hear from you around how you're achieving automation.
Yeah, so automation, like it's a word by itself, but it is a C, basically, how I should say it, because it's a vast thing. So we have automated a lot of integrations, like as I said, the integrations between all the HIS solutions are being integrated to our back office Oracle. Not only that, revenue has been integrated, bank reconciliation process is been automated because we have it automated, auto reconciliation of cash management. Likewise, we have some future plans also. Before getting to the future plan, like we have Hyperion, so we are able to do a better planning and budgeting, where we will be able to understand our cost in a way like patient level accounting, patient level costing. We are able to generate the right reports. So those things are being automated already. And we are still like in a phase of rolling out some warehousing AI-based solutions. This your robotic process cells we have been implementing, which are primarily to basically improve the integration part, error handling, because automation in error handling creates a lot of value add, because you can think about integration running between two systems. There are hundred thousands of errors, and if you have intelligent robotic solution in place, it will not just resolve the error, but it will store it itself. Stores the solution, and the next time when it happens, it addresses it in the same way. So
Sure.
that is value. You are going to save a lot of manual work, manual intervention, or manual efforts, which you can plan into your efforts in a better adding value solutions to the organization, right?
Perfect. Thank you, Swarab. Swami, I suppose this is probably another nice area for you to get involved in the conversation just around automation. So maybe you can elaborate a little bit more around how this has been achieved through Oracle ERP. And it looks like you've got mute. Oh, you're on mute, Swami.
Yes. Okay. So, John, we see there are multiple tools that have been used for automation today on the ERP side. Let's take the basic one, which almost everybody is used to. We call it as, I mean, it's called as chatbot, but we call it as digital assistants, right? So, I mean, we use all the time. We go to any online site today, you have a chat pop up, and we all are very familiar with how chatbots are being used. But in an enterprise context, in a finance organization, digital assistants are something which is taking away all your administrative activities. For example, if I have to submit my expense report for my recent, travel, or if I have to submit my any other expenses that I have to do, it used to be a very mundane, a long process to submit an expense report, scanning the invoices and stuff like that. Using a digital assistant tool, we are able to submit expense reports very seamlessly, and from our doorstep, and we don't need to carry papers and stuff like that. So we see an enormous amount of benefit of digital assistance from an expense reporting point of view. So if we extend that into finance and HR organizations, you talk to the finance and HR professionals, you're able to use these assistant tools to capture some of the informations and able to respond very, very quickly, rather than somebody sitting and answering all those questions. I talked about making the financial reporting and analytics available 24/7 using digital assistant tools, so that people can consume information much faster, much quicker, right? So this is a basic level of automation that we're talking about from a digital assistant point of view, which is a very it's an embedded tool within the ERP application. So the customers can simply start using the tool. It doesn't need any implementation. It is a lot of new skills have been added every single release by Oracle. So you are able to use those chatbot skills pretty much very, very quickly, right? And it's embedded within the application. You necessarily don't buy this separately as a subscription, because you buy ERP Cloud, you have this. Now, the next is most important is on the artificial intelligence and machine learning capabilities. Now, let me give you an example of how finance is transforming with AI and ML. So, let's take accounts payable as a function. So it captures a huge amount of invoicing. All the suppliers and vendor invoices are captured, and then you go through the process of 2-way, 3-way, 4-way matching, and then you go through the process of payment, and then and then you account it. So that's an accounts payable process. AI is embedded within each step of this application. For example, capturing invoices become is completely automatic, where you don't even need touch any physical invoices today. You are automating capturing the digital images of the invoices. You even go to the extent of matching, which is done by the system. Only exceptions go to the accounts payable manager or accounts payable clerk. The whole payment processing is handled automatically. So there is AI and ML inbuilt into every single step of the accounts payable or the procure to pay function. By this, you are able to eliminate a whole lot of manual touch points and able to repurpose these finance professionals for a higher value added activity rather than looking at the basic invoicing and payment function, right? That's one single example of how AI is taking over the entire finance activities. I can give you examples in GL as well. So in financial closing, many times the accountants sit and pass a lot of manual journals, right? Or doing intercompany transactions, right? So having something like an intelligent process automation, which is embedded with AI and ML, you are able to do all the intercompany reconciliations then and there, and only the exceptions come to the accountant. So the machine learning kicks in and it is able to manage all the intercompany reconciliation activities or any of the reconciliation activities between this is very relevant for large organization because it reduces a huge amount of manual effort. So here, these are a couple of examples on the procure to pay cycle, on the financial reporting cycle, where AI and ML is playing a big role basically. And the last portion of automation is on Internet of Things. So as a finance professional, I'm the custodian of the assets of the organization. I need to ensure that I'm using these assets. I'm able to get the return on investment on the assets that have been invested. And I need to ensure the assets are being maintained properly. So with an IoT application, you are able to get the full visibility of the assets deployed. Is it being used? Is it being maintained properly? Is it not being stolen? Is it being replaced at the right time? Because we're talking about asset intensive organizations investing billions of dollars on these assets. And just in the traditional old finance organization, you have a fixed asset register where you just monitor everything from a register. Today, you talk to the asset directly, right? So you have an IoT solution which is sending all the information, and that brings in a huge amount of ROI on CapEx investments through IoT as an application. Again, starting with digital assistants, AI applications, IoT applications, these are part and parcel of the ERP cloud today. It's embedded within the application. So you don't need to spend millions of dollars in building a project or building a solution because it's all pre-packaged application. You use it, if it works very well, you like it, you use it, otherwise you cancel the subscription going forward. This is the new finance world that we are living in from an automation point of view, John.
I wrote down a note. I forget if it was in the Western Digital video or one of the others, where they just said that they'd moved down from something like 15,000 cost centers down to 300, and obviously just the fact that they can get all the sort of data and insights in real time was, really stood out to me.
Right, absolutely.
So, I mean, you've obviously spoken to some of the positives and obviously all the highlights, but Saurabh, I'm interested to hear from you now, because you work in a very sensitive area at the moment. Of course, being involved in healthcare, you're right at the sort of forefront of things. So I'm interested to hear from you, what were some of the biggest challenges that your team either were or are currently facing, and then how did you go about supporting them?
See, there are like different instances, like when this COVID pandemic happened, there was a lot of change in the demand planning, because we were like, as a healthcare provider, the main source of revenue is your OT, operating theater. It comes from OT. Then IP and your procedures, what happens in hospitals. But in almost all the countries across, the health authorities has stopped or advised hospitals not to do these elective surgeries. So all the elective surgeries was being stopped. So the kind of supply chain we used to have, like as a tradition to run a hospital, got completely changed. So from a proper demand planning reporting, which were coming from our financials, we were in a better position, not only financial, but from our supply chain, we were able to better plan our demand and better order them in order to make sure that we have all the supplies in place. So that added a lot of value, honestly, from a operation standpoint. In addition to that, during the COVID pandemic, what happened is we were being required to take some facilities to isolate the people. And then we have to equip them from starting from infrastructure for managing certain expectations. And then Oracle, being a cloud solution, was very effective because just by doing some kind of a small setup, we were able to map it and integrate it with our front-end applications, which were primarily to take care of the health of the patient. Okay. So in that way, it was very, very effective. And as I said earlier, we were in the advanced stages of digitalization, which has given us an edge among the other hospitals in the region to better manage our operations, and we were able to run our hospital or the health facility with a 300% capacity VR.
Wow.
So you can think of, and not only that, after that, when the transition happened, when things started opening up, the complete demand got changed. Although COVID was always there and it's going to be there for some more time. And then now, if you ask me, vaccination as well, the vaccination has started from a couple of weeks. We are starting in our hospital as well. So we have DHA regulatory requirements, Dubai Health Authority requirement, which we map within the product, like we have to store or capture some information from all the employees, from all the healthcare service providers. So we were able to do it better on an Oracle backbone. So the entire reporting for that has also been coming from Oracle, which gives us in compliance and to have a governance within the organization, and we are able to better meet the expectation of the health authorities, and we are able to better do our job.
Yeah, that's amazing. It sounds like all the sort of pre-work that you've done over the years in terms of the digital transformation project and building those kind of Oracle stacks has really paid dividends now during these tough and challenging times.
Yeah.
Excellent. I see we've got about 7 minutes left, and I'd really like to get some questions in from the audience. I noticed we had a couple of questions from Ross, which I'm going to refer to in a moment. One thing I did want to hear from you, Swami, I know you've obviously given us quite a comprehensive overview. Could you just share maybe some top tips or some takeaways for our finance professionals here?
Sure, John. I would take the following three key takeaways that I would focus on. I think most of us are working remotely today, and we have realized that we are able to achieve better results, and we had the inhibitions of working from remotely and being effective, especially in the finance organization. I think we are all proving ourselves that we can do a very good job even in a remote situation. So, which means you need to have the right tools and right resources to run from your home, and you are able to still achieve your daily operational activity and the monthly activities and the quarterly and the yearly activities. And we have all done multiple quarter closing already, right? And we have been running our solutions and running our processes well. So please ensure that you have the right tools and right resources, from something which I talked about as scenario planning and financial planning and scenario modeling, to the basic financial functions of general ledger, accounts payable and accounts receivable, also moving into areas of revenue management, product lifecycle management, subscription management. These are the extended ERP solutions which are available. So the first thing is to get the right modules, right solutions, which brings the embedded technologies like AI, machine learning, IoT, and blockchain. So that's the first piece I would say, that please look at these tools. You don't need to start a big project. If you are starting with a basic ERP, you can start with something like core financials, and then have the digital assistants available to you so that you are able to move up the value chain in terms of your financial processes. That's number one. Second is, if you are in an M&A situation, or if you're looking at your digital model innovations, we have a lot to talk about, because I mean, like what Saurav talking about, when they decided to start operations in UAE, they said we are going to cloud, and we are going to go for the top tier 1 ERP cloud Thankfully, it's Oracle. And I'm so glad to see that he's getting very good efficiency. He talked about 300% capacity utilization, which is great to hear, right? Especially because they are on the forefront of this. So I would really look at the M&A and business model innovations purely from a finance function. Look at all the tools available to help in an M&A situation or to create a new entity for to address a business model innovation as well. So that's the second piece. And the third important piece is, while we do all this, we ensure that we have a proper risk and compliance. We need to ensure that the safety and security, not only the physical, but also the data security and safety, is extremely important and paramount for finance function, because most of the finance professionals are custodian of the financial information and asset information. So ensure that you select the best platform to run the ERP solution, which provides you the best safety and security. So essentially, you can start very small. You don't need to make a big bang approach. You can take a baby step in moving into ERP cloud. Ensure that you're getting all the emerging technologies available to you, and ensure that you have the right safety and security available to you. These are the three things, John, I would reiterate.
That's perfect. Thanks. Thanks so much, Swami. So I see the questions that have come in from Ross are quite technical around M&A. And then we had another question from Shana Wise. I don't think we're going to have enough time to expand on those in the next couple of minutes. So what we'll do is we'll follow up with you privately, and we'll get some answers from Swami and some other specialists, and we'll get those answers across to you. Just before I tell us about some of our other upcoming events and just share a light-hearted video before we close out our session, I just wanted to thank you, Swami, for your time. Thank you for joining us here today and sharing your insights. Saurabh, thank you for showing us a really great and practical example of how moving to the cloud and technology has worked for you. So just wanted to thank you both for your time. And then I also wanted to thank Oracle. Of course, without Oracle, none of these webinars would be possible. So thank you so much for your continuing support with the CFO community. I see that there's been a link shared in the chat which talks to the finance strategy and moving to ERP solutions. And then let me just go ahead and share some of our upcoming events here as well. All right, so we can see we'll be hosting a webinar on the 18th, and that's going to be future-proofing your HCM and saving money. We'll then be looking at the great ethics debate in partnership with Facet. And then lastly, we'll be looking at a masterclass in financing working from home. Okay, so before we kind of close out and share our final video for the day, Swami and Saurabh, thank you very much for joining us. Really valuable.
Thanks, John. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you, John. Thanks for the platform. I know you guys are doing an excellent job, and happy to be part of the CFO community.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Perfect. I'm going to jump off camera and then I'm going to go ahead and play that video for us. So thanks to everybody for attending, and we look forward to seeing you again soon. Take care. I guess now would be a great time to play the video, wouldn't it? Oh no, it looks like I'm not getting the video up. I'll tell you what I'm going to do. For some reason, I can't get that video to play. So I'm going to go ahead and share the video in the chat for us. And we look forward to seeing you in another session, everybody. Thanks so much and have a great end to the week. I'm going to stop the recording now. Thanks for attending and see you all soon.